we continue in the laws of Talmud Torah, study of Torah. Okay, just as a person is commanded to honor his father and hold him in awe, so he is obligated to honor his teacher and hold him in awe. Indeed, the measure of honor and awe due to one's teacher exceeds that due to one's father. Whoa, you hear that? You have to have more honor for your teacher than your father. Why? Because his father brings him into life, into this world, while his teacher teaches him wisdom and brings him into life, to the world to come. You get a mitzvah. Your father did a mitzvah to have you. But huh? Unless your father happens to be your teacher. Exactly. So today's learning is in honor of Yaakov ben Leib Yehuda, whose your site is today. L'chaim, l'chaim. So indeed, the measure of honor and honor due to one's teacher exceeds as one of the father. Right. Accordingly, so what does that mean? How does that express itself, that law? It expresses that if he lost object belonging to his father and one belonging to his teacher, the lost object belonging to his teacher takes precedence. If his father and his teacher are both carrying loads, he should relieve his teacher's load and then his father's. If his father and his teacher are held captives, he should redeem his teacher and afterwards redeem his father. Obviously, you can do both. You do both. Right? We're talking about it's just giving the concept of how the law and the ramifications, the parameters of the law are as a result, right? Yes. However, if his father is also a Torah sage, he should redeem his father first. Right? Similarly, if his father is a Torah sage, even if he's not equivalent to his teacher, he should return his lost article and then the belonging to his teacher. Because he may not be his top teacher, but he is a teacher. This is interesting, huh? How, from a Jewish perspective, what it means to be a teacher. Teachers generally do not get respect. And they don't get, and therefore they don't get money. They don't get paid well. Yeah. But here it's very different. There is no greater honor than that due to a teacher, and no greater awe than that due to a teacher. Our sages declared, the fear of your teacher should be equivalent to the fear of heaven. Therefore, they say, that's why we always speak about the Rebbe. Because, having the awe for the Rebbe is having the awe for God. Therefore, and that's who our teacher is. I'm just saying the words. The Rambam's our teacher. The Alter Rebbe is our teacher. The Rebbe is our teacher. I'm just the conduit for their teachings. Therefore, they said, whoever disputes the authority of his teacher is considered as he revolts against the divine presence, as implied, who led a revolt against God. And it was against teacher. Who engages in controversy with his teacher is considered as engaged in controversy with the divine presence. It's implied, where the Jews contested with God and where he was sanctified. When whoever complains against a teacher is considered as if he complains against the divine presence, as implied by the verse, and complaints are not against us, but against God. Yeah, same thing. That's what Moses said, right? Whoever thinks despairingly of his teacher is considered as if not despairingly of the divine presence, as implied the people spoke out against God and Moses. What has been disputing the authority of one's teacher? A person who establishes a house of study where he sits, explains, and teaches without the teacher's permission in the teacher's lifetime. This applies even if one's teacher is in another country. It is forbidden to even render a halachic judgment in one's teacher's presence. Whoever renders a halachic judgment in his teacher's presence is worthy of death. Not death by a court of law, but death of heaven, right?
So we should come to you for
First of all, yeah, it's not really. It's speaking. No, it's speaking about. For example, for me, I have smicha, I have rabbinical ordination, so that gave me the permission that I could. That's what rabbinical ordination means. I've been granted the permission that I could, you know, adjudicate. But that being said, I have my
question, talk of opinions. Then I come to you.
Okay. So it's speaking about an halach over here. It's not talking about like in like learning Tanya or but about adjudicating law, right? If a person asks a student regarding a halachic question, and there were 12 mil between him and his teacher, he's permitted to answer. So someone asked, right? So can I answer? So if there's 12 mil is like 12 kilometers about. Furthermore, to prevent a transgression, it's permitted to give a halachic judgment even in the presence of one's teacher. In other words, someone's doing something wrong. Oh, he says, what does it imply? For example, one saw a person perform a forbidden act because he was unaware of the prohibition or because of the perversity. He should try to prevent him from telling him this is forbidden. This applies even in a teacher's presence, and even though one's teachers had not given him permission. Wherever the desecration of God's name is involved, no deference is paid to the teacher's honor. In other words, someone is now, it's Shabbos, and someone is doing something that they weren't aware. And your teacher is standing right there, and for whatever reason, doesn't matter the reason, right, didn't do anything about it. So you have to do something because you're aware, and this person, you can stop them from doing something that's wrong, right? I'm not talking about someone who's doing it willfully, right? Someone's doing it willfully, desecrating Shabbos, for example. That's a different story. We're talking about someone who not aware, and they're doing it. So you got to stop them. The teacher is there and should be doing it. The teacher, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because the desecration of God in the moment, that is more important than the honor due to the teacher. When does the above apply? With regard to a matter that came up incidentally. However, establishing oneself as a halachic authority, that's the issue over here. So a halachic authority to sit and reply to all who ask concerning halachic matters is forbidden, even if the student is the one at one end of the world and the teacher is the other, until either the teacher dies or the student receives permission from his teacher. Not everyone whose teacher dies is permitted to sit and render judgment concerning Torah law, only one who is student worthy of rendering judgment. So, for example, I don't render judgment. People ask, and I render judgment meaning to take a halachic issue, right? Like if it's a life and death issue, should you pull the plug, not pull the plug? Something we just spoke about, right? Should, and it might be, so I wouldn't do that. First of all, I'm not, sufficiently learned in it. I haven't been given permission. So if someone came and asked me the question, I would go and ask. I would go ask that from the rabbi there. It depends. It depends what the question is. Well, I can go to my rabbi. I go to and speak to him if that would be the right person.
Okay.
Sometimes it's another rabbi who's proficient in that particular area. Okay. Any student is not worthy of rendering halachic judgments. Again, halachic judgment means it's a unique case. If someone's asking me the law of they cooked, I get this all the time. They took a milchik spoon right? And they used a milk spoon with no milk, but it was, it was used for milchiks. And they stirred the pot with a meat pot that had no meat in it, but only had macaroni that they were cooking. Is it kosher or not kosher? I don't have to go to my rabbi to ask that because I'm not rendering a new halacha, right? That's something that's a simple thing that here it's being rendering halacha. So meaning like someone is like life and death issue, for example, and it may be a nuanced thing that maybe needs a new rendering over here because of whatever it is. Now, if it's something I don't know, so for sure I can't give the halachic ruling. But maybe it's something that's, not rendering a law that, if it took that you could do because that's a simple law that's written, right? So I'm taking it from what's already in the written books. I'm not rendering halacha. Got it?
So it's non-kosher pot.
No, it's not a problem because there was no milk or meat. It was only what was in the, well, it doesn't matter. That's not the point now. Okay, so any student is not worthy of rendering halachic judgment and does so is foolish, wicked, and arrogant. She has cast down many corpses, applies to him. Conversely, a sage who is worthy of rendering halachic judgment and refrains from doing so holds back the spread of Torah and places stumbling blocks before the blind. How prodigious are those who she slew, applies to him. So if you know, you got to answer. These undeveloped students who have not gathered much Torah knowledge seek to gain prestige in the eyes of the common people and the inhabitants of their city by jumping to sit at the head of all questions of law and halachic judgments in Israel. They spread division, destroy the world, extinguish the light of Torah, and wreak havoc in the vineyards of God of hosts. In his wisdom, Solomon alluded to them as follows. Take for us foxes, little foxes that are spoiled the vineyard. Our vineyards are blooming. Chana, do you need a hand there? Okay, thank you. I'd like to speak further about a plan that we could do something, that we can, huh? Well, it's still on the day of the Yortzeit. Oh, okay. Yes, wow. Okay, halacha number 5. It is forbidden for a student to refer to his teacher by his name, even outside his presence. He should not mention his name in his presence, even when referring to others with the same name as his teacher, as he does with the name of his father. Rather, he should refer to them with different names, even after their death. The above applies when the name is unusual, and all will thus know to whom it refers. A student should not greet his teacher or respond to the latter's greeting as customary when two friends exchange greetings. Rather, he should bow before him and say with awe and reverence, "Peace be upon you, my master." Shalom, shalom aleichem. If the teacher greeted him, he should respond, "Peace be unto you, my teacher, my master." Similarly, he should not remove his tefillin in the presence of the teacher, nor should he recline in his presence. Rather, he should sit before him as one sits before a king. A person should not pray either in front of his teacher, behind his teacher, or at the teacher's side. Needless to say, means move away. Needless to say, one should not walk by his side. Rather, he should distance himself. This is talking about they're talking about the Rebbe. Or this is talking about a very, it's not me. One should not walk at his side. Rather, he should walk distance behind him, his teacher, without standing directly behind him, and then pray. One should not enter the bathrooms together with his teacher or sit at his teacher's place. One should not sit against his teacher's, should not side against his teacher's opinion in the presence or contradict his statements. One should not sit in the presence until he tells him to sit. One should not stand before him until he tells him to stand, or until he receives permission to stand. And when one departs from his teacher, he should not turn his back to him. Rather, one should walk backwards while facing him. That we do with the Rebbe. That's what we do with the Rebbe. You don't do that to me, please. Don't do that to me. Not that you were thinking that, but just in case you had that thought. By the Rebbe would do that. A person is obligated to, I gotta tell you a story. The Rebbe would go and visit his mother every day. He would leave his office, walk for about 2 minutes to her apartment. And I forget who she once said it to. My son thinks I'm not so, that I don't get what he does. When he comes to his mother, so he says, before he leaves, he would always like straighten out the chairs. And I know one of the reasons, or a reason at least, why he does it is because that way he doesn't turn his back to me when he leaves, when he's leaving. Before he leaves, he would like straighten out, so he didn't have his back, like, she's sitting here, and then he's leaving, he's turning around. So he goes to the table and he's like moving things, right, to place them. And he shouldn't, right? But he's doing it very nonchalantly, right? Not, right? So he thinks I don't know. And it's as a Rebbe for his mother. A person is obligated to stand before his teacher from the time he sees him, as far as he can see, until he passes beyond the field of vision and is hidden. His figure is no longer visible. Then the student may sit. A person is obligated to visit his teacher during the festivals. Deference should not be shown to a student while in the presence of the teacher, unless it's customary for the teacher also to show him deference. All of the services which a student performs for his master should be performed by the student for his teacher. However, if the student has a place where he was not recognized and was not wearing tefillin, should he suspect that people will say he is a servant, he need not put on his teacher's shoe or remove it. Now, as you're doing this for you, so the person might think you're a servant because no one knows that he's your teacher. So then you don't have to do that because people don't know that you're doing it as a teacher, not as a servant. Whoever prevents his student from serving him withholds kindness from him and takes away his fear of heaven. Any student who deals lightly with the matter related to the honor of a teacher causes divine presence to depart from Israel. Wow. Others, the teacher should allow the student to serve in that way. So, David, I'd let you bring me coffee. Thank you. Thank you. I have to, but we'll leave it at that. A student who saw his teacher transgress the words of Torah should tell him, "You have taught us such and such." Whenever he mentions the teaching in the present, he should tell him, "You have taught us the following, Master." He should not mention the concept which he did not hear from his teacher unless he mentions the name of the person who authored it. When his teacher dies, he should rend all his garments. Until he reveals his heart, he should never mend them. When does he apply? To one's outstanding teacher, from whom he has gained the majority of his wisdom, from the Rebbe. Yeah. However, a person who has not gained the majority of his wisdom under the teacher's instructions is considered to be both a student and a colleague. Who has not gained.
Whom has gained. One has gained.
No, that's a majority. Now, the next paragraph. However, a person who has not gained the majority of his wisdom under the teacher's instruction is considered to be both a student and a colleague. He is not obligated to honor him in all the above matters. Because he didn't get the majority of your teachings from this person. Nevertheless, he should stand before him, rend his garments at his death, as he does for all the deceased whom he is obligated to mourn. I don't think we do that today. Even if he learned only one thing from him, whether it be small or great, he should stand before him and rend his garments at his death, because he's a great sage. We don't do that today. But when the Rebbe passed away, I rent my garment. Huh? Sorry?
No, I was going to ask how they said the reason why we no longer do that.
I don't know. Good question. I am not certain. Every student with a proper character will not speak in front of anyone who is wiser than him, even though he has not learned anything from him. An outstanding teacher may, if he desires, forego his honor with regard to any of or all of the above matters to any or all of his students. Even though he forgoes these honors, the student is obligated to respect him at all times. He forgoes respect. Just as the student is obligated to honor their teacher, the teacher is obligated to honor his students and encourage them. The sages declared, the honor of your students should be more dear to you as your own. Wow, powerful. A teacher should take care of his students and love them because they are like sons who bring him pleasure in this world and the world to come. Students increase the teacher's wisdom and broaden his horizons. Our sages declared, I learned much wisdom from my teachers and even more from my colleagues. However, from my students, I learned most of all. Just as a small branch is used to light a large bow, so is a small student sharpens his teacher's thinking process until, through his questions, he brings forth brilliant wisdom. Psh. What?
Underappreciated.
There's a mitzvah to respect every Torah sage, even if he is not one's teacher. As it says, stand up before the white-haired man and respect an elder. The word zaken, translated as elder, alludes to the Hebrew word's meaning one who has acquired wisdom. Zaken means shekana, that he gained wisdom. When is one obligated to stand before him? When he approaches within 4 cubits until he passes him. 4 cubits mean like 6 feet. One should not stand before a sage in a bathhouse or a toilet, for it is stated, stand up and respect, implying standing up which conveys respect. The bathhouse is not, right? Craftsmen are not obligated to stand before Torah sages while they're involved in their work, for it is stated, stand up and respect. It can be inferred that just as showing respect does not involve a financial loss, standing need not involve a financial loss. What is the source of which teaches that a person should not divert his eyes from the sage so that he will not see him, lest he is required to stand before him, as it's written, and you shall fear God. With regard to all matters dependent on one's conscience, the Torah states, and you shall fear God. In other words, God knows. Okay, I got to stop here. We'll see you later, 6:30, God willing.